Now, if you guys have ever shopped for a compact car, you'll know that it is the biggest pain in the ass. The reason? There are so many good choices out there. So, what was the vehicle that I would recommend hands down to any one of my friends or family looking for a vehicle in this class? Well, that distinction has always gone to the Mazda 3, and Mazda has made it even better for the 2017 model year. So, the company has sent me over this completely refreshed model. Let's take a look and see all the reasons why it's still a great compact car. So if you guys have been following me for a long time, you'll know that I've had plenty of seat time in a Mazda 3. In fact, one of the first press cars I ever got was a 2013 Mazda 3, like back in 2012. And since then, the company has sent me over one pretty much every year, once even twice in the same year. And I've pretty much had a chance to drive the entire third generation lineup throughout the years. However, this is my first time actually driving the 2017 model, and Mazda made some pretty extensive updates to the car, even though it may not look it on the outside. Now, as you guys know, this third generation was introduced back in 2014. It still comes in a hatch or a sedan body style like my Tester. You can still choose it between 4 different trims ranging from the Sport, the Touring 2.5, and the Grand Touring like my Tester, which is the top of the line model. Now you can see the Mazda 3, the current one, was the third vehicle to sport the company's famous Kodo design language. It was after the CX-5, after the 6, and this car has aged extremely well, and it's still one of the best looking compact cars on the market today. Now you can see the front end got some pretty minor updates, and in fact you'd honestly have to be staring at the old one side by side to see the difference. There's new available LED headlights on the GT model like my Tester. They are swiveling, they're adaptive, they're auto leveling, and they are automatic high beam function if you guys go for the iActive Sense package. Now you can see also the grille is slightly tweaked, a little different finish. There's a new chrome horizontal slack in between the LED fog light and the lower fascia, which you can, by the way, get the LED fog lights on the Touring trims and up. And overall, the design still looks handsome. It still looks very fresh. It definitely looks a lot more expensive than a lot of other compact cars in the segment. And that was one thing I always told you guys: if you're looking for an inexpensive car, you need to pick the one that basically fools you into thinking you bought a less expensive car or a more expensive car than you actually paid for. The Mazda 3 has always been able to do that. Now, under the hood, there's not really any changes at all. You still have a choice between a 2-liter Skyactiv G 4-cylinder, makes 155 horsepower. I have the 2.5-liter bigger motor with 184 horsepower. They all have direct injection. Coming around the sides, the 18-inch wheels do come on the Touring models and up. Honestly, they look the same pretty much. Mazda made slight tweaks, and you can get a different wheel finish if you guys go for like a Sport appearance package. Now, up back, the changes are pretty much null. I don't see any differences between this and the 2016 model. You still have available LED taillights if you go for the premium equipment package. For some reason, Mazda gyps you if you get the sedan. You lose the dual chrome exhaust tips on the hatchback, so it makes the sedan look a little bit more plain looking, which is why I would happily recommend the hatch. But overall, I think the Mazda 3 is still a perfectly proportioned sedan that has aged extremely well, and those of you who are in the market for a compact car should definitely put one at the top of your list. But enough about the exterior. Let's take a look at the inside and see all the changes that Mazda has made this year. Now, most versions of the Mazda 3 will come standard with the company's smart key access system with push-button start. You can see it's still the same old key fob. It's a nice slim design, but I kind of think it's time for Mazda to come up with a new key fob design soon. To lock the vehicle, you have to actually push the button. There's no sensor on the back of the door handle, and that also unlocks the vehicle. It'll beep twice whenever it unlocks the vehicle. But you can see here opening the door and checking out the interior. The interior of my Tester is just really gorgeous. I love the two-tone, the almond color leather with the black interior. It's just a really classy, premium looking ambiance, and it definitely fools you into thinking you bought a much more expensive car than you actually paid for this thing. Now, stepping inside the interior, you can see getting in, it's a nice step in height. I mean, this isn't going to give you the crossover easy high step in height, but you know, this vehicle definitely feels good when you sink into it. And shutting the door, It sounds nice and solid when it shuts. I mean, this vehicle is still relatively new, even though it is starting to get 3 years old now in terms of the platform. But you can see here there's push button start on most models. My tester has the lovely 6-speed manual. So to start the vehicle up, just put the clutch in. This actually changes from amber, or actually when you have the ignition on, when you put the clutch in, it changes to green to let you know that the vehicle will start up now. And you can see the Mazda 3 is the only vehicle in the segment that offers a active driving display, a heads-up display. It has this little plexiglass screen that kind of rises up when a vehicle starts up, but it's actually a new color LCD this year versus the non-color that was in the old model. It's very nice to have. I still don't like the color the plexiglass display. I would have preferred to just be projected onto the windshield, like in the CX-9. However, you would expect Mazda to do that possibly for the next generation. Now you can see here. Looking at the interior, this is still a really nice environment, and you can also see some of the changes that Mazda has made this year. The infotainment system here is a little bit better integrated into the dash. It still kind of sticks up like an iPad, which is fine. This is kind of the design philosophy that a lot of manufacturers are going to. There's a new steering wheel this year. Like the new steering wheel, it basically comes off of the CX-9. It's also heated. That's new this year. You can get on the higher trims. But everything else is pretty much nice. The door panels are all soft touch materials. There's a new piano black accent trim on the window controls. It replaces the old faux carbon fiber. There's a new material on the door handle. Everything here is soft touch. It's leather stitch. The window is automatic one touch for only the driver's side. I kind of wish that Mazda made it also for the passenger side, but you can't have it all. This is still a compact car. Looking at the center stack here, it's pretty much identical aside from the new heated seat or heated steering wheel button. You still have dual zone automatic climate control. There's still a nice little storage area here for your phone. You have 2 USB ports there, an aux port, and your SD card slot. This is the lovely 6-speed manual transmission, which has really nice short throws. It feels really good going through the gates. One of the best shifters in the business. Putting into reverse, you have to push down. When you go into reverse, you can see Mazda gives you a nice little backup camera without any trajectory and no parking sensors though. So it's kind of just a simple backup camera, and it does actually get kind of dirty when it's raining or if you're driving the snowy parts, and it's just crap gets all over the screen. Now looking at the center stack here, you're probably going to notice it's completely redesigned. Mazda got rid of the traditional handbrake. They replaced it with this electronic parking brake, which does go on and off automatically depending on if your foot's on the brake and you're putting it in gear. It frees up a lot of center console space here. I love this area here where it's nice and soft leather stitch because I actually do rest my elbows on there. There's a nice little cover here. It's a very sturdy cover to cover up the cup holder area. So they gave you a little bit more interior space than when they freed up that handbrake, the mechanical handbrake. Now looking here, this is the Mazda Connect infotainment system controller. This system here is actually a touchscreen, or you can use the command controller. Your volume knob, of course, is right here. This basically works like all the European systems. There's a dedicated home button here. You can go to all your different sources. Applications are basically, it's not like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay or anything like that. It's just kind of HD traffic, fuel economy, and vehicle status monitor. And overall, the Mazda Connect system is good. I think it's definitely time for the company to update it. The navigation screen is basically what you find in like a Garmin. It's a decent looking nav system here. Pretty much class competitive. It's not going to wow you into thinking that you bought an even more impressive car, but it gets the job done. This is a 7-inch screen. I think it's time for Mazda to also increase the size. The new CX-9 has an 8-inch screen, which is a little bit better. Looking at the rest of the interior here, the glove compartment, it's damped. It's a pretty good size, actually. It's not lined with felt. There's a standard size sunroof on this vehicle. There's no pano roof available on this car. And then over here, you have a nice little armrest with some more storage, which is a little bit on the small side. There's another power outlet there. It does go down a little bit further if you guys want to store some stuff. The front seats are pretty comfortable. They have slightly bigger bolstering than a lot of the other cars I've tested. The GT model gives you full real leather as opposed to the synthetic leather that the Touring model goes with. But overall, I think this interior has been nicely updated. I definitely think that there are some improvements Mazda could make, but again, that's going to be saved for the next generation. But overall, it's still a very nice place to spend time. Now looking at the rear seat of the Mazda 3 sedan, you can see the rear seat is a little bit on the tighter side compared to some competitors. The Corolla, the Civic definitely offers more room than this, along with the Jetta and the Golf perhaps. But stepping inside, you can see here for shorter drivers, this isn't bad. This is pretty much where I'd have the seat to drive while I'm driving, and you can see here there's decent foot space underneath the front seat. Legroom is definitely on the tight side. There's no flat floor here like on some competitors. Mazda also doesn't give you any rear seat vents. You also only get one map pocket. Now shutting the door, The door sounds solid as well. It's hard touch plastic on the upper portion here with more of that piano black and some stitching here. There's a little bit more storage compartment space in the doors, in the front doors especially. That's one thing Mazda changed. And then most trims will also come with a nice armrest here with some cup holders, and then the seats themselves, they fold down 60/40. Now my tester, being the sedan model, gives you about 12.5 cubic feet of space. It is slightly smaller than a lot of its competitors. A lot of competitors will give you like another inch another cubic inch of space. The seats themselves, as I said, they fold down 60/40, and then when you look underneath the floor here, you still get a temporary spare, so it's nice that Mazda still includes that. I would highly recommend the hatch, honestly. The hatch will give you like 20 cubic feet of space with the seats up, 47 if you fold down the seats. So again, the hatch looks better, it gives you more versatility, and it's not that much more expensive versus the sedan. Now under the hood, Mazda also didn't make any changes this year. You still have the company's two engine choices. This is the bigger engine. This is the 2.5 liter Skyactiv G gasoline 4-cylinder, direct injection, no turbocharging, but you can hear the engine's ticking away. Skyactiv basically also means it has a very high compression ratio and a special header to aid with emissions, to aid with performance. In this car, it makes the same 184 horsepower and 185 pound-feet of torque. This is the biggest engine that Mazda makes. It makes the same power as the Mazda 6. Now you can choose the transmission between a 6-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual like my tester. The automatic is $1,000 extra. And fuel economy definitely ranges based on the engine and the transmission. My tester, being the sedan with the stick and this bigger engine, is rated at 25 in the city, 34 on the highway. Slightly lower MPGs, but if you guys go for the automatic with the IE loop technology, it's going to go up to like 27, 37, which is pretty good for a big 4-cylinder like this. If you guys go for the smaller 2-liter, you can get up to 40 MPG if you guys decide to go with that. Now, all Mazda 3s are front-wheel drive. They weigh rightly around 3,000 pounds, which is right in the norm. So let's get out on the road and see how this all works together, shall we? So the last Mazda 3 I showed you was a 2016 red hatchback with the Sport Appearance package. It had the 2.5 liter with the 6-speed automatic. I basically proclaimed it to be the best compact car on the market. And it was a great car, honestly. And this year when Mazda sent me over this, basically the same car in sedan form without the appearance package with the manual, I was pretty excited to drive it, mainly because Mazda added the new G vectoring control, which, I'll explain that later on, makes this car handle even better. So let's get out on the road and see if I notice any changes on this initial takeoff. Now, as I expected, the 6-speed manual in this car really just makes the Mazda 3 alive. It's one of the most visceral feeling cars in the segment, basically. And the 6-speed is really nice. It has really crisp, direct throws. It's perfectly mated to the power band of this 2.5 liter engine. And it's just a joy to hustle this car through the corners. Now, Mazda says for this year they also updated the suspension. They retuned it, made it a little bit softer, improved the ride quality. They also added a little bit more sound deadening materials to address owner complaints about this car being noisy. It still has a little bit of road noise on the open road. It's definitely not one of the quieter offerings, but that's okay with me because the Mazda 3 kind of is this, I mean, it's the sportier offering, so you kind of expect it to be a little bit noisier. But the ride is really nice. It's nice and firm, compliant, yet you know, it feels really good when you're going down the road. The steering in this car is just completely segment best, in my opinion. It's so direct, it's so quick, and it just feels really good. This car inspires so much confidence. It makes you think that you're driving a much more premium car, a sportier car, and it's amazing how this is just a commuter car, but Mazda really just knows how to tune this chassis properly to make you think that it's a much nicer car than it actually is. Now with the bigger motor, the Mazda 3 will get to 60 in around 7.5 seconds, which is slightly slower than the new Civic Turbo. And most of the times you guys aren't going to be doing that 2,000 RPM clutch dump, but I just want to show you that you can do that with this car. It has enough power to smoke the front tires, and what you heard was a little bit of wheel hop. because this is still a front-wheel drive car. There wasn't really much torque steer though, which is nice. This vehicle does have a good amount of torque, but you know, this isn't a Mazda Speed 3. I mean, the chassis certainly can handle it, but I would love to see Mazda offer this car with a turbo engine, with more power, with all-wheel drive to quell the wheel hop and torque steer if they do add more power. But I want to talk about G vectoring control really quickly, because a lot of you are probably wondering, what the hell does that mean? Well, it's basically an advanced form of chassis dynamics. And what this system does is it monitors your throttle input, your vehicle speed, and your steering ratio, or what direction you're turning the wheel in. And every time you go into a corner, it senses that you're going to go into a corner. And what it does is it actively reduces torque from the engine, and it switches the load from the back tires to the front. So when you're going around corners, what you feel is just an incredibly planted car, and it turns in so quickly and so directly. Now, the whole feeling is supposed to be pretty much just linear. You're not going to really notice it. All you really feel is this car being an extension of yourself when you're going around corners, and that's exactly what the Mazda 3 does. Now, what do I notice versus the last Mazda 3 that I drove? Well, I noticed that this car definitely has more grip. It has smoother transitions when I'm going back and forth between, you know, curves and such, and the vehicle feels more planted in inclement conditions. One thing I noticed about the Mazda 3 is it would understeer heavily when you were driving in the rain, for example. This one definitely feels a lot more solid, it's a lot smoother, and it just gives you even more confidence. So I think that the G vectoring control, brilliant idea. Love the fact that Mazda actually, you know, designed something like that to make this car drive even better. And all you are going to notice is this car is still one of the best handling compact cars on the market. Now, one thing I also want to talk about is the fact that Mazda offers this car with adaptive cruise control with the 6-speed manual. Now, it works like every other adaptive cruise control system. It has a radar sensor in front with lasers or whatnot, cameras, and it will basically just follow the car in front of you to about 19 miles an hour. It'll shut off at 19 miles an hour. But what the cool thing about the system is Mazda will allow you to shift gears while the cruise control is active. So I can actually shift from 6 to like second if I wanted to, or third, and the cruise control will remain active. It'll basically just resume as soon as you let off the clutch, and combine that with the Mazda's new active lane keep function that you get with the iActive Sense package. And this car has semi-autonomous driving characteristics. Now, one thing about the Mazda's lane keep assist is it kind of will vibrate the wheel and then gently nudge you back into your lane, as opposed to some other systems like from Honda, which will actually, you know, ping pong you through back and forth between the lane. The Mazda system will kind of just jerk the wheel, and then it requires you to take control. So Mazda still takes on a more, you know, driving manners focus with their active driver assistance tech. I would like to see Mazda eventually offer full speed range adaptive cruise control on their newer products. I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed with the way this car handles. It literally just feels like a bigger Mazda Miata in the way the steering feels, the way the transmission works, the way the engine revs up. I mean, this is still a front-wheel drive car, and it will push when you really start going at it. But one thing I noticed, this car will actually let the rear rotate a little bit when you go heavy into a corner, and that's just great. I love it when a front-wheel drive car, you know, allows the rear end to step out a little bit. It just kind of gives you the feeling of a rear drive car. And I find this car to be the perfect daily driver, and it's a wonderful car that I would happily recommend to anybody looking for a compact car that's not a Civic, that's not a Corolla. And you know, in this really competitive space, the Mazda 3 still has a lot of wonderful things going with it, despite the fact that there's a lot of competition. But let's talk about the fuel economy, because I mentioned earlier that the gas mileage numbers are a little bit lower than a lot of its competitors when you go for this particular combination. Now, in my week's worth of driving, I've been averaging about 26 miles per gallon in mostly mixed, primarily city driving. On the highway, I pushed it up to about 35, so it's really good MPG for a big 2.5 liter motor. Those of you who get the automatic, you know, who get the iActive or the IE Loop package with the active grille shutters and whatnot, that car will get up to 40 MPG. So, you know, the MPG of this car is still pretty class competitive. Now, regarding the price, the Mazda 3 still starts at around $17,800 for a sedan with a manual transmission. Add about $1,000 if you want all-wheel or the automatic. Add about $1,200 if you guys want the hatchback model. Now, my tester being the Grand Touring sedan with a stick starts at around $23,000. It gives you the real leather upholstery, the upgraded Bose sound, the heated seats, the heated steering wheel. I mean, this car, with my tester, it also adds the premium equipment package, which gives you the adaptive LED headlights, navigation. That's about $1,600. Another $1,100 for the iActive Sense package, which gives you the adaptive cruise control, the smart city, automatic forward braking, the lane keep assist, lane departure alert, and then the automatic high beams. All in, my tester's around $26,800, just under $27,000, which puts it right in line with the Honda Civic Touring, the turbo, with an automatic transmission, pretty much. Now, keep in mind, my tester is missing like the appearance package that adds like the body kit and the different wheels for another $1,300. And if you factor in the hatchback model, which is another $1,200 in general, and the automatic, this car can easily top 30 grand. But you know, in this particular combination, I think it's a great value, and a lot of you who don't look at this are really doing yourself a disservice. Nice little second gear chirp there. But anyways, with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview of this refreshed 2017 Mazda 3 sedan with the 6-speed manual on the 2.5 liter engine. If you're looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please subscribe to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.